Nancy Kulp's final interview finally confirms what everyone had been whispering about. Born Nancy Jane Kulp on August 28, 1921 in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, she grew up in a strict yet brainy home where success wasn't just expected, it was demanded. Her dad, Robert Tilden Kulp, worked as a federal revenue agent, while her mom, Marjorie, pushed her to stay curious and cultured, turning their home into a place where big ideas were part of daily life. From the start, Nancy wasn't just smart, she was sharp. She soaked up knowledge like a sponge and breezed through school before heading off to Florida State College for Women, now Florida State University. There, she earned her degree in journalism, learning how to use her words like a weapon, clear, powerful, and precise. Those skills later shaped her signature style on screen, where every word she spoke carried weight and flair. But things took a shocking turn when World War II hit. Nancy dropped journalism to answer a higher calling, serving her country. She joined the U.S. Navy Reserve and became one of the first women to rise through the ranks in the WAVES program, Women Accepted for Volunteer Emergency Service. Climbing up to lieutenant junior grade, she handled aviation training like a pro, earning respect and admiration along the way. That experience changed her forever. The discipline, grit, and courage she gained those intense years built the unshakable backbone that defined her both as a person and as an actress. When the war finally ended, Nancy didn't slow down. She packed her bags and headed straight for Hollywood. There, she trained under the legendary Max Reinhardt, ready to transform all that strength and smarts into pure star power. Nancy Kulp wasn't like the typical actresses chasing fame back then. She didn't depend on glamour or being boxed into the same tired roles. Instead, she built her career on brains, sharp timing, and a deep understanding of human nature. In the 1950s, her name started popping up everywhere. Films, TV shows, you name it. She carved out her place playing witty secretaries, clever intellectuals, and delightfully odd women who always stole the scene. Her film credits were seriously impressive. She showed off her range in Shane, 1953, The Three Faces of Eve, 1957, and The Parent Trap, 1961, proving she could slide between subtle emotion and quiet strength with total ease. But her biggest moment came in 1962 when she landed the role that changed everything, Miss Jane Hathaway on the Beverly Hillbillies. As the ever-proper, dryly funny secretary to the wealthy oil tycoon Milburn Drysdale, Nancy brought sophistication to a show overflowing with country chaos. Miss Hathaway was smart, loyal, a little romantically hopeful, and endlessly polite, a mix that made her unforgettable. Fans adored her charm, while critics couldn't ignore the depth Nancy gave to what could have been a throwaway comedic role. Even though the character was written for laughs, Nancy played her with real grace and heart. She made sure Miss Hathaway was never just a joke, but a woman with class, compassion, and quiet power. Her performance earned her several Emmy nominations, solid proof that she wasn't just funny, she was phenomenal. But with great fame came one tough twist. After the Beverly Hillbillies ended in 1971, Nancy found herself trapped by her own success. Typecasting hit hard, yet she didn't fade away. She kept working in shows like The Mary Tyler Moore Show, The Love Boat, and Fantasy Island. She even stepped back into Miss Hathaway's shoes for reunion specials, always showing love to the fans who never stopped cheering for her. Nancy Kulp wasn't just a star on screen, she was a force in real life too. Her sense of duty went far beyond Hollywood lights. Always driven by purpose, she threw herself into civic engagement and public service with fearless energy. And in a move that shocked many in the entertainment world, Nancy stepped right into the political arena during the 1980s. She didn't just talk about change, she went for it. Nancy ran for the U.S. House of Representatives from Pennsylvania in 1984 as a proud Democrat. Even though she didn't win, her campaign stood out because it wasn't built on fame or Hollywood flash. It was powered by real ideas and raw determination. She focused on education, fairness, and progress, proving she cared more about making a difference than making headlines. For Nancy, politics wasn't about ambition, it was about responsibility. She saw it as a continuation of the service she started back in her Navy days, staying true to her belief that public duty mattered more than personal gain. That same strength and discipline that carried her through war and acting followed her right into the political spotlight. And then there's her quiet chapter, the short marriage that barely made it into the history books, but still tells a story about who she was becoming. Before the fame, before Miss Hathaway, there was Charles Malcolm Dacus. Nancy married him on April 1st, 1951 in the Miami Beach Community Church in what seemed like a picture-perfect post-war wedding. She was 29, he was 23, a small but bold twist for the time, flipping the traditional age dynamic when men were usually the older ones. The moment painted a glimpse of a woman already defying expectations even before the world knew her name. Balancing heart and ambition, Nancy was learning how to live life her own way, even when society tried to write the script for her. That one little detail says so much about Nancy Kulp's bold, independent streak. She never played by the usual rules, even when it came to something as traditional as marriage. Her husband, Charles Malcolm Dacus, wasn't just any man. He was an account executive at WTVJ, a Miami television station that was part of the brand new world of broadcast media. Talk about foreshadowing. Long before Nancy ever hit the small screen, her life was already brushing up against the industry that one day would make her a household name. But back then, Nancy wasn't living under studio lights or walking red carpets. She was still finding her place in the world. She was a college-educated woman with a sharp mind and deep curiosity, more focused on ideas and knowledge than fame or glamour. Acting wasn't yet her dream. It was just a faint spark waiting to ignite, hidden beneath layers of ambition and intellect. 5 years of dating showed she wasn't one to rush into anything. It suggests both of them took their time, stepping into marriage with clear heads and honest intentions. For Nancy, this union might have been a way to balance the pull of personal affection with the weight of social expectations, to find love while still figuring out how to live life on her own terms. Even then, she was quietly rewriting the rules, proving that she'd always walk her own path, no matter what society expected. Nancy Kulp's marriage was over almost as quickly as it began. She and Charles Malcolm Dacus called it quits in 1953, barely 2 years after tying the knot. That short-lived union hinted that once real married life set in, deep differences started to show. No juicy details ever made it to the public, but one thing's clear. It was tough for Nancy to balance love, ambition, and her fierce sense of independence. Back then, divorce wasn't something people talked about easily, especially for women. In the early 1950s, walking away from a marriage meant risking judgment and whispers. Yet Nancy didn't back down. Her decision to end it showed serious strength and self-awareness. For her, it wasn't about failure, it was about freedom. That moment became a turning point, marking the start of her journey toward living life on her own terms, not by anyone else's expectations. That experience probably taught her a hard truth. Real happiness doesn't come from fitting into society's mold. She realized she couldn't just follow what others thought was right. She needed to be authentic, even if that meant breaking tradition. That same bold spirit would later shine through in her acting and her public life. She refused to be confined, whether in love or in Hollywood. But behind the bright laughter of the Beverly Hillbillies, fans always sensed there was more going on than met the eye. Sure, the show was full of warmth, humor, and that good old-fashioned country charm, but off-camera, things weren't nearly as sweet. Rumors swirled for years that some of the cast didn't exactly see eye to eye. And then, in one of her final interviews, Nancy finally confirmed what people had been whispering about all along. Her relationship with Buddy Ebsen was anything but friendly. She spoke with striking honesty, her words cutting through decades of speculation. For the first time, she let the world see what it really cost to survive in a TV industry built on smiles and control. Nancy Kulp didn't speak out of spite. Her words weren't bitter or meant to stir up old Hollywood drama. Instead, she sounded like a woman who had simply reached the end of pretending. After years of keeping quiet, she was done letting politeness cover the truth. Reflecting on her time on the Beverly Hillbillies, she finally said what so many suspected. "I know people want to remember it as one big happy family, but that simply wasn't true for me." That single line hit like a thunderclap, shattering the illusion of perfect harmony that surrounded the beloved show. Her confession peeled back decades of nostalgia, showing a reality far different from the cheerful chaos fans saw on screen. At the heart of her frustration was one man, the show's patriarch and leading star, Buddy Ebsen. Nancy didn't accuse him of one bad day or a single falling out. She described a constant pattern of behavior that weighed heavily on her spirit. According to her, Buddy wasn't the sweet fatherly figure everyone imagined. She revealed he liked control and he liked being reminded that he was the most important person on that set. That admission painted a whole new picture of life behind the cameras. For Nancy, educated, outspoken, and fiercely independent, working under someone who demanded constant authority was nothing short of suffocating. She didn't hold back when describing how deep his influence went. She said he wasn't just Jed Clampett, he acted like the moral compass, the judge, and the boss. That one quote captured everything. How the hierarchy on that set wasn't just professional, it was personal. In the strict world of 1960s television, where producers and stars often ruled like royalty, Nancy's intellect and individuality were seen as threats, not strengths. The tension between them wasn't just about personality, it was about power, principle, and the clash between old-school control and a woman who refused to stay silent. Nancy Kulp didn't hold back when she talked about how the tension with Buddy Ebsen affected her sense of belonging on set. She said, "I never felt respected by him, without hesitation. Tolerated perhaps, but never respected." Those words hit hard, simple, direct, and full of years of pent-up emotion. For Nancy, that lack of respect created an atmosphere where subtle digs and quiet exclusions became the norm. What started as small frustrations slowly built up until they turned into something much heavier, a deep, lasting resentment. And she didn't sugarcoat it. She added, "People use the word dislike, but hate is closer to the truth. I hated how small he made me feel." That confession stopped people in their tracks. There was no bitterness for show, no dramatic flair, just raw honesty from a woman who had clearly carried that weight for far too long. What made her words so powerful wasn't anger, it was truth spoken without theatrics. Nancy wasn't trying to stir the pot, she was setting the straight record. She explained how she had kept things professional, saying, "I stayed professional, I did my job, but I paid for it emotionally." That pain didn't just fade once the cameras shut off, it followed her for years, shaping how she viewed fame, success, and the industry that applauded her in public but dismissed her in private. She ended her story with a calm honesty that lingered long after the words were spoken. "I don't expect anyone to take sides. I just want the truth to exist." And in that one simple line, Nancy Kulp did what few dare to do. She stripped away the Hollywood illusion and stood alone in her truth, finally free from the silence that once defined her. After that final interview, Nancy Kulp quietly slipped out of the spotlight, but her words refused to fade. Hollywood might have moved on, yet the honesty she left behind hung in the air like an echo, uncomfortable, raw, and real. She had peeled back the polished surface of an industry built on illusion, and in doing so, she reminded everyone that behind every laugh track and camera flash stood a human being, carrying their own private battles. In her later years, Nancy lived a life far removed from the glamour that once defined her. She settled into a slower rhythm, surrounded by books, art, and a small circle of friends who respected her for who she was, not for the roles she played. Though age softened her voice, it never dimmed her fire. She stayed outspoken, fiercely intelligent, and deeply aware of the world around her. When she spoke, people listened, because there was no pretense left, just truth, plain and powerful. Even as her health began to decline, Nancy carried herself with the same calm dignity that had guided her through every storm. She never apologized for being bold or for refusing to play along with the Hollywood nice routine. In her final days, she reportedly told a close friend, "I did things my own way. Maybe that cost me, but at least I can say I didn't lie to myself." That line summed up her entire life: brilliant, complex, and unapologetically authentic. When she passed, fans mourned not just the actress they saw on TV, but the woman who dared to tell the truth in an industry that worshipped make-believe. Her courage to speak up, especially so late in life, turned her story into something far greater than a Hollywood tale. It became a reminder that integrity, once found, is worth every risk it takes to keep. Nancy Kulp's legacy lives on, not just through her sharp humor or her iconic role as Miss Hathaway, but through her defiance, her honesty, and her unwavering belief that silence should never protect the wrong people. Her truth didn't destroy her legacy, it defined it. And even now, long after her voice has gone quiet, it still echoes, steady, unflinching, and real. Years after Nancy Kulp's passing, her name still sparks conversation, and not just among classic TV fans. Her story has taken on new meaning, especially for those who faced the same kind of quiet battles she once endured. Younger generations discovering the Beverly Hillbillies for the first time now see more than just a vintage sitcom. They see a woman who stood her ground in an era that told her to stay silent. Hollywood has always had its legends, but Nancy's legend feels different. It isn't built on scandal or superstardom, it's built on courage. She never reached for fame by stepping on others. She earned her respect through honesty and grit. In a world where many hid behind smiles, Nancy chose to speak her truth, even if it made people uncomfortable. That choice alone turned her into something bigger than a character actress. It made her a symbol of strength. Over time, critics began to look back on her career with new eyes. They started to see how her intelligence shaped the roles she played, how her performances carried a spark of rebellion hidden behind that polished tone and polished demeanor. Every raised eyebrow, every sharp line delivery, it all came from a woman who knew exactly who she was, even when others tried to box her in. And while her words about Buddy Ebsen stirred controversy, they also opened the door for long overdue conversations about power, respect, and silence in the entertainment industry. Her honesty paved the way for others to come forward, to challenge the myths that had gone unquestioned for decades. She might not have lived to see the ripple effect, but her truth became part of a larger shift, proof that honesty, once spoken, can't be buried again. Nancy Kulp's story stands as a powerful reminder that real legacy isn't about how perfectly you play your part, it's about the courage to step out of the script entirely. She lived, she struggled, she spoke, and she owned her truth, and that's what makes her unforgettable. Speaking her truth until the very end, Nancy Kulp confirmed what so many had quietly suspected for years, that behind all the laughter, fame, and endless reruns were real people, locked in real struggles, carrying real scars that never completely healed. Her honesty stripped away the illusion of Hollywood perfection, exposing the cost of living inside a machine built on image and control. In her later years, Nancy carried herself with a calm dignity that stood in contrast to the colorful, quirky characters she'd brought to life on screen. Away from the cameras, she was reflective, private, and grounded, a woman who had seen the highs of fame and the loneliness that often came with it. Like many of her generation, Nancy had long been a cigarette smoker, a habit that was practically stitched into the fabric of show business at the time. Back then, it wasn't seen as dangerous, it was part of the routine. Long hours on set, the buzz of production lights, the stress of public life, all of it came with a cigarette in hand. For Nancy, smoking became both a comfort and a companion, something that followed her through the years even as the spotlight began to fade. But in 1990, reality hit hard. Nancy was diagnosed with cancer, a blow that changed everything. By that point, she had already stepped back from acting, devoting her time to community service, education, and the quieter passions that brought her peace. Yet even in the face of such a devastating diagnosis, she showed remarkable strength. She faced chemotherapy with the same determination that had carried her through war, fame, and heartbreak. It was a battle that tested her spirit, but she never lost her composure or her sense of grace. Those who knew her said she met each day with quiet courage, refusing pity and choosing resilience instead. Through all the pain and exhaustion, Nancy Kulp remained what she had always been, a woman of conviction, intelligence, and unshakable authenticity. Even as her body weakened, her voice, her truth, never did. Chemotherapy in those days was no easy road. It was tough, unforgiving, and offered far fewer options than what people have today. Treatments took a heavy toll, draining both body and spirit, yet Nancy Kulp faced every session with the same sharp mind and quiet determination that had defined her entire life. Friends later said she never lost that calm, thoughtful focus. She approached her illness the way she approached everything else, seriously, realistically, and with unshakable grace. But by 1991, the truth could no longer be denied. The cancer had spread. Doctors shifted their focus from recovery to comfort, helping Nancy spend her final months in peace. She was 69, an age where reflection naturally takes over, a time to look back, to measure the life you've lived against the dreams you once held. And for Nancy, that reflection was profound. Behind her famous wit and polished performances was a woman who had always been far more layered than her characters suggested. To the world, she was Miss Jane Hathaway, the clever, composed secretary who brought class and comedy to the Beverly Hillbillies. But to those who truly knew her, Nancy was something deeper, a thinker, a dreamer, and a woman who dared to live life on her own terms. She never let Hollywood define her worth, and even as her health declined, she held on to that same quiet dignity that had carried her through every storm. Her final days weren't surrounded by cameras or flashing lights, but by the gentle stillness of Palm Desert, California, a calm refuge far from the noise of Los Angeles. It was there, on February 3, 1991, that Nancy Kulp passed away, leaving behind a legacy built on intellect, integrity, and courage. Her death closed the chapter on a life that had balanced so many worlds: education and entertainment, humor and depth, public success and private reflection. When the news broke, fans and colleagues alike remembered her not just for her famous role, but for the warmth, wit, and humanity she brought to every line she ever delivered. Nancy Kulp may have left the stage, but her presence still lingers in every rerun, every laugh, and every quiet moment of truth she dared to share.